Mia and her three friends, Jake, Sarah, and Tom, had been planning their camping trip for weeks. They were all adventure enthusiasts, and nothing thrilled them more than spending a night in the heart of the wilderness. This time, they had chosen a remote forest, far away from the clamor of the city. They packed their bags with essential supplies and hit the road early on a Saturday morning. As they drove deeper into the forest, the scenery around them grew denser and more enchanting. The sunlight barely pierced through the thick canopy, creating a mystical ambience that sent chills down their spines. Despite the eeriness, they laughed it off, thinking it added to the adventure. By late afternoon, they found the perfect spot to set up their camp. It was a small clearing surrounded by towering trees, with a stream nearby. They quickly pitched their tents and gathered some firewood. As the sun began to set, they sat around the campfire, roasting marshmallows and sharing stories. Jake, the joker of the group, began telling a local legend he had read about the forest. It was said that many years ago, a group of travelers had disappeared without a trace in this very forest. Some believed they had been taken by an evil spirit that roamed the woods at night. While the others laughed it off, Mia couldn't shake the feeling of unease that crept up her spine. As night fell, the forest came alive with sounds. The hooting of owls, the rustling of leaves, and the distant howling of wolves created an eerie symphony. The group decided to turn in for the night. Mia lay in her tent, unable to sleep. Her mind kept wandering back to Jake's story. Suddenly, she heard a soft whispering outside her tent. She strained to listen, but it was too faint to make out any words. Her heart pounded in her chest as she debated whether to investigate or not. Gathering her courage, Mia unzipped her tent and stepped out into the night. The campfire had dwindled to embers, casting long shadows around the clearing. She walked towards the sound, her flashlight cutting through the darkness. As she approached the edge of the clearing, the whispering grew louder and more distinct. She could now make out words, ancient, haunting words that sent chills down her spine. "Leave this place," it said. Suddenly, a cold wind swept through the clearing, extinguishing the remaining embers. Mia froze, her breath visible in the sudden chill. She turned to run back to the camp, but something held her in place. She looked down to see tendrils of mist wrapping around her ankles, holding her captive. Panic surged through her as she struggled to free herself. Just as she thought she would be pulled into the darkness, she heard Jake's voice calling her name. The mist released its grip, and she stumbled back to the camp, her heart racing. The others had awoken and rushed to her side, their faces pale with fear. Mia explained what had happened, and they quickly decided to pack up and leave. As they hurriedly gathered their belongings, they heard the whispering again, this time all around them. "Leave this place," it repeated. With adrenaline pumping through their veins, they dashed to their car and sped away, not daring to look back. The drive back was silent, each of them lost in their thoughts. They never spoke of that night again, but the memory of the deserted forest haunted them forever. The legend had come alive, and they had barely escaped with their lives.